G'day fellas and welcome to a casted game of Age of Empires for today. We are on Altai. Boy oh boy, has it been a while since I've seen Altai. I love this map. I miss this map and I adore this map. I guess because as a Chinese main, naturally defense is what I look for. And you really can't go past Altai when it comes to defense. So let's get into it and introduce our players for today because I'm expecting to see at least a little bit of defense today. Maybe if we're lucky, a defensive masterpiece. Sporting in the east of the map, the color blue playing as the Juicy Legacy, the Chinese variant. Ladies and gentlemen, it's give you anxiety. And on the west side of the map, in the color purple playing as the Knights Templar, a new addition to the Drongo cast. Ladies and gentlemen, it's Kisior761. Now, this guy, I will tell you right now, he's Conqueror 3, he streams over on Twitch. I'll leave a link in the description to where you can go watch him live. He's from the Netherlands, and you'll know that we have one favorite player from the Netherlands, Don Artie. And it's been a while since we've seen the Don. So I'm hoping, look, Don's got big shoes, but perhaps this Dutchman's also quite tall and also got as big feet. So we'll see whether or not he'll be able to fill the Don's feet or fill the Don's shoes today. Anyway, let's talk a little bit about this matchup. Of course, this matchup is typically going to be involving a lot of cavalry. You'll see cavalry coming out of the Knights Templar, at least that's the expectation. Things could be a little bit different. By the same token, on the side of GUA, we can expect to see him go into 2TC, go for a fast castle potentially, look to play into Juku Nu only. He's got a number of options as to how we can play it, but just keep in mind that you want to take advantage of the natural terrain. And in this case, playing on Altai, we can really look to see exactly how that can help him. So the key thing that I'm going to be looking for is where are we going to be putting our walls down? And you'll be able to see already we've got a beautiful natural wall that's already begun building from the very beginning of the base all around to the side. We can put a nice little wall at the back here, by the same token a wall up to the top, but you might not even get that far. You could probably just wall this across. So that's something that I'm definitely going to be considering here if I was playing in the hot seat the way GUA is right now. But the age up's going to be coming through shortly for both of these players. We're right on board with our Knights Templar main as the age up comes through, and it's going to be the Knights Hospitaller. Say it ain't so. Say it ain't so. This is an age up that is less typically used, or at least from what I've seen, it's less typically used. I'll say that right now. I haven't had my finger on the pulse of the meta recently. I still haven't got around to watching that grand final just yet, which of course I've already spoken about. I tell you what, I'm kind of excited to see it. I've been messaging Cow quite a bit. You guys will know him. Cow, he does a fair bit of mooing. If you've ever posted on Twitch, you'll be familiar with him. And he said, bro, you got to watch it. It's just it's absolute cinema. So we'll look. I know that. It's not about where you're going, it's about the journey, isn't it? So, look, even though we know who won, it's about seeing exactly how it unfolded. Anyway, Meditation Garden's going to be coming down. Beautiful Meditation Gardens here as well. Does he even know he's got the berries? I don't think he knows he's got the berries. Sure, he's got to know that there's the berries there. Yeah, he's got to know that there's... Are we able to see the berries if... No, we can't. Yeah, we can't. Let me find berries on the map right here. Yeah, okay, no. He knows there's berries there. All right, it's just, he's not randomly just putting it down there. Age up comes through on the other side of the map, and expect to see some Hospitaller Knights potentially this game. We'll see. Pilgrim's going to be coming out, moving to the middle of the map by the looks of it. Only 85 gold coming through. I think if you were going to pick one... Oh gosh, this is a bit of an awkward spawn. Ideally, you'd love this sacred site to be up here, so you've got a nice easy run. You can come across here and go for this, but geez Louise, running a bit of a gauntlet, aren't you? So definitely a bit of a tough decision to have to make there. Meanwhile, on the side of GUA, what's the plan for GUA today? Pops the Vills out, heads over to the wood line. So it could be units, most likely. Could be a second TC. Though GUA, the kind of guy who puts a second TC down at like 45 minutes. You're not going to see this guy go for a second TC. Now that I've said that, let's watch all these Vills go out to stone. He rarely likes to go for economy. He is very big on going for units. Absolutely loves the units, adores the units. He's famous for that 1-1-1. I remember casting GUA years ago in Age of Empires 4 when the game first came out, and he'd been a balance tester, and that was his go-to. He just loved playing the 1-1-1. One stable, one racks, one barracks, or sorry, one stable, one racks, one archery range. There we go. Because if you had a barracks and a racks, it's two raxes, and well, that's not 1-1-1. That's 2-1-1 or 2-1. Anyway, let's get back to business. We've got the second Imperial official that's out at the moment. And where do we go from here? Because there's really quite a bit of a blend of resources being gathered. There's nothing... It's like he's collecting resources, but he's not pulling the trigger. The Rax is coming down. He scouts the enemy. He doesn't see anything other than the Knights Hospitaller flag. Doesn't see a stable. So the barracks is probably going to be for Palace Guards here. He's thinking, all right, let's get aggressive. My enemy's got the wall up. That naturally means they want to be a bit more defensive, so maybe we can get in there and be annoying. And indeed, he goes into the Palace Guards. So looking to get on the offensive here. Still got the scout out on the map. We'll check in with his opponent who's dropped down a palisade wall in a bit of a weird spot. Now, normally you wouldn't be going for this, but I can see a couple of reasons why you might want to do it. Number one is trade. Of course, hold on a minute. Hold on a minute. Never mind. Okay, they're over here. I got a little bit confused because I went all the way to the corner. I've just realized that there's Forgotten Ruins on this map. That's kind of cool. I hadn't even really paid attention to that. So that is very exciting. So the Forgotten Ruins spawn right in the corner. That's going to give you a relic after you've excavated it. So it'll take a while to get it there. But the fact that this is a ranked game and we're getting to see that, it's exciting because we've already got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 relics on the map. And there's the potential for another 2 to be coming out. Undoubtedly, they will be coming out. In the middle of the map, Palace Guards do look to put a little bit of heat into that Pilgrim, but unfortunately for the Palace Guards, the Pilgrim does make it through. Age Up potentially could be on the way here as well. No Vills queued up. Rax, or rather, he's only got the 1 Vill queued up. I was looking at his food thinking, where's all that food gone? He should have more food than what he's got. The Age Up should have come through already. Where's he spending all of his resources? Our Dutch protagonist for today. I'm only calling him our Dutch protagonist because I just don't know how to pronounce his name. I had a practice go at it as well. KCW? Maybe we just call him KCW. Maybe that's it. Let's just go with KCW. I kind of like that. We got a sauce here in Australia. I think it's a Korean sauce. It's called QP sauce. So we can just call him like QCW. Anyway, Pilgrim, look at this. Pilgrim taking a little bit of a long run. Oh, that's why. Okay, now it makes sense. Okay. Here I am thinking about, like, trading. I don't think I ever talked about the other potential variations of what the plan was, but I assure you guys that the Pilgrims were definitely a key component of that. In my brain, I was like, okay, is he thinking about aging up and maybe securing this sacred site? Like, is that the key mindset behind this? But now it just makes so much more sense. So apologies for getting a little bit... getting a little bit stuck behind. Age Up coming through on the side of GUA. And it looks like the Pilgrim will make it. Does he get the gold? I don't think he got the gold. I'm pretty sure it does that silly little bug out thing. Look at it. It's so annoying. And now he gets the gold. We would have seen the gold come through because I only switched angles at the very last second. I don't think he got the gold for it. And I would be hella mad after that. That's embarrassing. That's not embarrassing. It's just annoying. And now Pilgrim going to be coming to the middle. Look at this. GUA going to have to play whack-a-mole in this game. Now we got the Knights Hospitallers out. Going to look to try and heal up this Pilgrim. But of course, this now means that you've got, you've got 2 Palace Guards on the wrong side of the wall, my friend. And because of that, the Knights Hospitallers shall be able to reign supreme, at least for the moment, as that Pilgrim makes its way towards the center. Slowly. Okay, gets there in the end. More Knights Hospitaller coming out. And the Age Up is through on the other side of the map. Shaolin Monastery, of course. Going to be working to collect all these relics. Now, when it comes to these relics, there's 2 that are pretty far on the other side of the map. I don't suspect they will be secured, but they're pretty conveniently placed here. We can see the scout for KCW down here. Hospitaller Knights coming through, or rather, yeah, the Hospitaller Knights, apologies, coming through. And we've got the Shaolin Monastery now printing out the second of its monks. We're right on board with GUA here. You can see he's looking to get aggressive, coming straight down to this relic on the front side. We'll pay attention to see whether or not he decides to unearth any extra relics. Keep in mind that when you do that, obviously you're losing a villager, but you are gaining 60 stone per minute. And they do gather at about 40 stone a minute. But the question's about whether or not you want stone. So I think if you were going for that, maybe you could almost look to potentially, as we see the Age Up coming through, maybe you could drop it down with a second TC. I think that's probably a smart move. You bring a villager over here, stick it in for 6 minutes, 60 stone, so you're talking 360 stone, and I'm sure like the devs have mathed that out intentionally. So at the end of the period there, you've essentially got enough stone to drop the second TC. Makes sense. I like it. I'm gonna pretend that I pioneered that. Simple, quick math. You've got a second one to the south. The Republic of Genoa comes through. Genoese crossbowmen could be on the field soon. We've got the range that's about to come through here. Of course, there's also crossbows as an option instead if you're feeling a little bit less luxurious today. You don't want to go for the high-end model. Maybe you just want to go for the more affordable option. You can just go for the classic crossbow. Indeed, the Pilgrim does come up. I don't know how, but that Pilgrim distance is even... Yeah, I guess that kind of makes sense. But you can see that out of everything, it's actually been GUA's opponent that's gone defensive rather than the juicy legacy. You know, normally we see the Chinese, the juicy legacy. They love to try and play defensive, get that villager advantage. They've got so many ways that they can get that eco advantage, of course. But no doubt the aggression is going to be strong here for GUA. Palace Guards have been upgraded. More eco upgrades on the way as well for him. So really looking to build that economy at home while he continues out on the map. Single villager's gone down so far this game. GUA's managed to pick it up. I don't know exactly where it was. I suspect probably towards this front. Now, just to give you a little bit of an update on me personally, I'm currently standing at the sit-stand desk. And the drink for tonight, it's, I like to call it apple juice. It's not really. It's alcoholic apple juice. It's Summersby apple cider. And the reason why I've got it, and I'm so excited, it's kind of like my go-to drink whenever I go out, because the stuff I actually like to drink is very rare. And so, like, normally that'll be in the esky. And so I'll just drink it. Anyway, we went to Aldi to do the shopping, and my wife, like, went over to because they sell alcohol at the supermarket here in Australia. And she just got some of this. I was like, oh, hell yeah, I would take the alcoholic apple juice. Why not? So anyway, it's currently 9:40 p.m. And I figured, you know what? We might stand up, have a cast, have a beer. It's not really a beer, it's a cider, but we'll call it a beer. Why not? And have a good time with the lads. Speaking of good times, take a look at this guy right here. He's starting to get all the unique units on board. We got the Genoese crossbowmen. Look at the range on these bad boys as well. 6 tiles of range just firing off from the safety behind the walls. Meanwhile, the Hospitaller Knights come out as well, look to do a little bit of defense. And at the moment, the relic count is looking pretty healthy in favor of GUA. We see down towards the south side, there are a few melee units here. GUA going to be working these relics back. We see the first one is here, 2 more back over on this spot. He's got one immediately next to his meditation gardens, which he just hasn't bothered to pick up, even though he can. And there should be one relic somewhere else on this map. I don't know exactly where it is. It's not in this monastery. I don't believe it's been picked up. I mean, I can see that there's quite a lot going on out here. But unfortunately, we've got the Forgotten Ruins. What's even going on in these Forgotten Ruins? So I can see it's been captured. Or it's been controlled. So it's a controller player may garrison a villager inside. Okay, so we just must assume that there is a villager in here. And does that mean that... What happens if the enemy comes and captures this? Does GUA see that this is being controlled? He doesn't see that it's being controlled. Does he dare control his own? Perhaps. We'll have to wait and see. Jukanu also starting to come out here, together with a couple of crossbowmen on the back line. Big charges on towards the front. Spearmen looking to try and bulk up. Protect that backline. The Genoese crossbowmen, of course, notoriously powerful. I think when it comes to Imperial, you know, realistically, where do we see our Knights Templar player going? I would suspect it's probably going to be to Poland, but we don't know exactly. It could be the Teutons. You could go Venice as well. I think it could go either way, to be honest. But I feel like the fact that he hasn't played into the French kingdom, at least in the feudal age, at least gives him the possibility that maybe Teutonic Knights could be coming through here, which would be absolutely awesome. I mean, worst case scenario, we get Condottiero, and we just see them running around the map. They just remind me so much of Age of Empires 3, which is fitting considering we're casting a GUA game here, but the Condottiero reminds me a lot of the Rodolero. It's just a fast melee unit. It kind of looks like a guy that you don't want to mess with. All right, let's watch what happens to this villager. He just disappears. I'm sure he'll come back after his brief visit. I like the GUA just moved him as well, just to make sure. Oh, you can see the villager. Oh, what happened to this villager? Ah, okay. All right, there you go. Today I learned. There you go. Throw that one on Reddit. Look, why is that villager so small, though? Is it just me? Yeah, that villager has lost a lot of weight in the last minute or so. She's totally got smaller. Did they downgrade you to a child? I didn't think that was legal. You know what? We're in like what the 1400s. It's perfectly legal. That's why we had so many children, because we needed more help with the farms. Stables getting added in now. This is a 4th stable here for GUA. Quite a number that he's got going on here. So let's just check in with these relics. Yeah, so he's sitting on 5 out of 5 relics, looking to make that 6 out of 6 relics. Of course, his opponent unaware of the potential for 7 out of 7 relics. Maybe GUA changes his mind. You can see him moving down here towards the south as well. Could potentially look to bring a villager down here and harvest that relic. I'd love to see him do it. But for me, I think the big question is, where does the Knights Templar go from here? If we ride on board with them, the second town center is now coming up. And I think this is a smart move. But if you're going for a second TC, what's the golden rule when you're going for a second TC? If you're going for a second TC, don't push. It's the same thing like when you're aging up, right? Like you typically want to avoid pushing when you're aging up unless you're really far ahead. But even then, it's still like one of those best practice things where you should just get your upgrades and then push. You know, unless there's a really specific reason that you need, it's just a golden rule, and you should really try and observe it. GUA on the other side, though. Let's check in and see whether or not he's gone for that second TC just yet. We can see the only stone that he's gathering up at the moment is indeed from that single villager. Spears to the south, going to be able to catch out these lancers. And of course, GUA down here as well. He's got the lancer ready to go. Does he move a villager down here? I wouldn't be surprised. GUA the kind of guy to move the villager down. GUA definitely... I'm expecting it. At this point, I'm expecting to see a villager any second now. Drawn down here. Jukunu looking to fire off. Genoese crossbowmen. Good bit of range on them. Now, keep in mind with the Genoese crossbowmen, they got a high base damage. Very, very low bonus damage, though. And because of that, it means that they're good against everything. Whereas the crossbow, obviously, a bit more specialized, but they're very good against horsemen, good against Jukunu, and they've got that extra range. And I think that's really the key for them, the fact that they've got that extra range. And of course, whenever they want to, they've got that ability to continue kiting back. But now, GUA, big force comes through. Keep in mind his opponent on that second TC. The key here for him is he needs to survive. He needs to do everything he can to survive. So often with the second TC, we will see that comboed with a potential fortress. I'd love to see a fortress come down. I don't know exactly where you'd put it. You could maybe delete a house or two and then throw it down here. But even then, is it really going to do much? Ideally, you'd love to throw it down right here. But the consequence of doing that is that GUA would immediately push, and you'd also get rid of your key leverage, right? Like the key thing preventing GUA from attacking you is this big wall, which you're basically saying, hey, don't attack me. But now, the Siege Workshop should be enough to actually hold for KCW. Let's check in with GUA, though. GUA unaware of that Siege Workshop, I suspect. Back at home, he just continues to rally in more and more troops towards that front. Not a lot of health on these walls. You can see only 990 to go. All down towards the south. Keep in mind the Mangonel's going to be coming over from this west side. It's about to pop out. This could be terrible timing for our Knights Templar player. And indeed it will be, as that Mangonel immediately pops out. Does GUA try and take the bait? He's going to go for it? No, he's not. He's decided against it. Mangonel fires off. Decent shot. Hits a couple of Hellsmen. Not too terrible. He takes the trade. So I think at this point, immediately you're looking for a re-wall. Jiangnan Tower going to be coming down on the side of GUA here. Definitely the right call from him. So he'll need to be looking into moving into farms. So he'll need to transition into farms at this stage. And this is where he's going to lose quite a bit of tempo. And this is a bit of an opening here for KCW. Because he will know that the farm transition is coming through soon. He just doesn't know exactly when it is. But it's normally between like the 15 to 18 minute mark. That's a pretty safe bet. We've got the first fortress on the south side already. Second fortress now going to be coming up, as well as a third fortress. Why not? You know, double down, triple down, all that good stuff. Good luck to it, though. I suspect it's probably not going to be coming up. Even with the Springwood emplacement here, it wouldn't be enough to deter the enemy. We can see that there's 10 Vills building this up. He's going to try, but unfortunately, he's going to have to cancel. There's no two ways about it. He's moving Pilgrims over here. This could be massive for GUA. He should be able to find this easily. Indeed, he does. Straight behind all these villagers now. Stands on top of the sacred site as well. Gets himself a beautiful blitz and cancels both of those fortresses. Definitely the right call. Meanwhile, towards the middle of the map, GUA has taken out villagers, but keep in mind, he's taken out 16. His opponent is on 2 TCs. So this is par for the course, right? Like, you'd expect this to happen. This is an expected thing when you've got someone who's invested in the economy versus someone who's invested in units. Excuse me, a little bit of a hiccup. If you've got someone invested in the economy rather than invested in units, there is going to be that mismatch. But once again, we see the horsemen looking to strike. No villagers on that north side to wall them in. Pilgrim gonna get taken out. Obviously can't control them at this point, so they're pretty much done and dusted. You can't send them to the middle either because GUA's taken the sacred site and you haven't uncapped it at this point. Now, looks like we might have a little bit of a ring-a-ring-a-rosy. Quite a few units towards this top side. And he does manage to get this keep down, or this fortress down, but you can see that the wall had to go down for it to happen in the first place. Second TC might also be lost here. 54 Vills against 61. Repairs trying to come through. He's doing a decent job of sieging it down, but GUA going to call it quits on the siege. Meanwhile, towards the north side, the bait is on. Of course, GUA, notorious for his mastery of baiting the enemy. today, perhaps. He may be the one with a little bit of a reach around from the north. KCW attempts to convert, able to find at least one horseman. Let's see, picks up a second one. Needs to close the gap towards that top side. Instead, GUA going to be able to find a connection on the Genoese crossbowman, and he gets on out of there perfectly. Unfortunately, the reach around doesn't work today, and GUA escapes. I was going to say unmolested. Sorry. Okay, I'll stop it. We're 20 minutes through. We're allowed to. Have a look at the economy at the moment, by the way. 1,100 income compared to pair. It's looking like a superannuation account on one side, and it's looking like somebody with no super on the other. They're all Australian references. You'll get it. There's probably one going up an escalator, one going down one. Decent numbers here on this front from GUA, though. The fact that he was able to escape. So he did some damage, right? Like, realistically, what was the damage that he did? Number one, he prevented these from coming up. Number two, he killed the Vils. Number three, he also put a bit of pressure on towards this backside. It wasn't really like he's achieved much, though. Like, when you think about it, sure, he took out villages, and he did a bit of a runaround. He's delayed his enemy, but at the end of the day, I still feel like our Knights Templar player is in a decent spot here. The second TC didn't go down. If the second TC went down, then we'd have a problem. By the way, have a look here, what we've got here, and have a look at what we've got here. He's capped it, but there's no villager in here. Do we have a villager on the way? GUA, the kind of guy to send a villager down to the south. Leave a comment down below. Let me know what kind of guy GUA is. Finish this sentence. GUA, the kind of guy to what? We love our GUA. You got to remember that. GUA is such a madman when it comes to Age of Empires 4. We got stone walls. GUA, the kind of guy to stone wall his enemy in on Altai. There you go. I'll finish that sentence for you. And keep in mind, he's got villagers in the vicinity. So now his opponent has been walled out completely. You're gonna have to go back to the drawing board and draw up some battering rams over there, my Knights Templar. Except for that one villager. Does he bring the Vils back? He's just going to drop the mining camp. Gee, wait, you got a relic waiting for you here, bud. Speaking of relics, you got a second one to the north. He's spotted it out. Surely the neurons are firing now, and he says, well, hold on a minute. What if I just put that villager in there and get myself another relic? Show us the relic. No, show us the relic, GUA. You're 5 for 5. Now go for 6 of 6, and potentially 7 of 7. Meanwhile, towards the base of his opponent, have a look at the defense that is slowly being built. It's looking a little bit ancient around these parts here. That's going to be a third fortress that gets thrown down. We could potentially see even more. And keep in mind, this is going to be on a large stone outcropping. He's still got 1,300 in it, so he's got quite a bit that he can work with here. Plenty of gold behind the scenes, but have a look at this. Really smart move from GUA. Controlling the large golds. Where are the large golds on this map? Well, there's one towards the south. That's pretty much it. I don't know where the other one is. Is there no other large gold? GUA's got 2 small golds. Small gold here. Sometimes the large gold won't spawn. I'm not kidding you. Sometimes it won't spawn because of the mountains. So it's super duper weird. It's very funky, but I remember having that problem quite a bit. We got Ayyubids coming through. GUA going imp. GUA, the kind of guy to go 1 TC into Imperial at 23 minutes. Normally you'd expect a little bit more economy. So what are you aiming to achieve with an imp this early? So for me, at least in my mind, I'm thinking, all right, if I'm Imperial here, I need to be going for a big upgrade. I need to be going like elite Jukunu with incendiary arrows, and look at GUA's gold. He is absolutely ready. I want to see like 10,000 bolts immediately. Come on, GUA, click it. 10,000 bolts. Supervise +3. Incendiary arrows. Drop the university down. Let me see it, GUA. Show me it, GUA. Okay, elite Jukunu. That's good. That's 1 out of 4. We got elite horsemen, not technically one I'm looking for, but I will take it. Upgrades are good. We want upgrades, and we want to be supervising these as well. I'd love if I could click on these and go through. And now we're going through. It's Roar of the Dragon, not typically considered a high impact technology, at least initially. But we'll wait and see. We'll hold our judgment until GUA does his thing. I would have loved to have seen 10,000 bolts. Where's all that gold gone? I don't know where all that gold's gone. I guess it's gone into bombards. He's made a second one as well. Not collecting a whole bunch of gold at the moment. 800 gold per minute at the moment. A lot of that going to be relics. Sacred site as well. Still got plenty of gold here, though. Has his taxes coming through. Incendiary arrows is going to be very big. +3. He's sitting on +2 at the moment, but essentially you want to try and get as many points of damage onto these Jukunu as you possibly can, and then you can just spam Jukunu, and you're undefeatable. Undefeatable. Impossible to be defeated. So GUA with quite a bit of a lead here. Now, the bombards are going to be perfect in countering these mangonels. You'll see he's got a bit of range, and unfortunately, with the Juicy library, we don't actually have the Temple of the Sun, which means we don't get that extra range from the bombards. But we do get the upgrades, and we'll definitely take those as well. +3. It's going to be Damascus Steel coming through instead. So going for the melee, looking to really focus on melee here. I'm going to be honest, I got to disagree with this. I feel like your power, especially when you get up to your Imperial Age before your opponent, is definitely in that Jukunu. They're just an absolute terror on the field. Type Barn's also coming through. Great tech there for GUA, especially considering he's got 6 relics at the moment. Now, we don't see him getting out any pagodas just yet, so that's going to be absolutely fine. Look at the mangonel number. Look at the mangonel number. GUA going to try and find a way through. Mangonel's looking pretty well done right there. Now, GUA's got the numbers. I think he needs to slow play this. You got to slow roll. Just check the flop. Check the flop. GUA, just chill for the moment. You've got enough to one-shot these mangos. You don't need to play fast with your horsemen. Just lead with your bombards. Perfect. Focus down the fortress. Perfect. Very well done. Probably a little bit too close for comfort. Good positioning here. Not too bad. We're live coaching GUA here. GUA's going to have to fall back. Continue the kite. Mango's going to try and get a little bit of a pop. Able to find it. He's going to reconnect on the back line. Mango's doing decent work here. Jukunu now finally going to be able to find the connection. Horseman looking to run in up the inside, and GUA definitely in a good spot. We need to see the splits from him coming out, as the Mangos are going to be connecting any second now. There's the big shots. He's also lost out. I think he's about to lose out on one of those bombards. You can see the health on them. He's really got to get out and dodge at this stage, but the numbers are looking beautiful for him. He's overwhelmed his opponent. The Mangos do manage to take out one of those bombards, and GUA with a masterful bait right there in the center. Meanwhile, Genoese crossbowman from the top rope. Nobody expects the Genoese Inquisition. Meanwhile, Jukunu, all of a sudden, it's the Kingdom of Poland. It's the Kingdom of Poland. The Kingdom of Poland. Ladies and gentlemen, I confirm it is the Kingdom of Poland coming through. We get to see it. And now GUA. So GUA's been forced down to 1 bombard. So a couple of mistakes here. Number 1, going for a big push, bringing bombards. Probably should have brought a couple of vills to repair them up. I think his micro was pretty decent. Overall, GUA's micro was solid here. But I felt like KCW's micro was also pretty good. I liked the flank from the side. Like, nobody expects the Genoese crossbowman from the top rope on the eastern corner. It's something you don't often see, especially on Altai. Now we got the Montlu Academy coming in. I just know there's gonna be that one guy's like, Drongo, please stop saying Montlu Academy. It's like, bro, we've been saying it wrong this long. I'm not gonna fix it now. It's been the Montlu Academy for 3 years. It'll be the Montlu Academy forever. He's like, it's the Mount Lu. Like, there's a U in there, bro. It's like any mountain, like Mount Everest, Mount Kosciuszko, Mount Wellington. It's the same thing. Mount Lu. No, Montlu. I don't know why, bro. I don't know why. Boiling oil coming in. GUA losing a lot of units here when he doesn't need to be losing units. You got bombards, baby. The bombards will do all the heavy lifting for you. Now, the only thing to note is you need to know what your enemy is aging up with. So you will see on the top of these fortresses this little flag, and that's the giveaway. So immediately at this point, GUA needs to shift, because he can only expect that there is going to be Schlatter coming in. I'm butchering that one as well. Just give me a sec here. Schlatter. He knows that they're coming in. And so the big thing for GUA here, tempo. He has to push. He has to keep the tempo up. And he needs to be switching into spears. That's the key thing. I think he needs to be going into elite spears. He needs to be ideally looking for crossbowmen as well, and looking to try and get as many upgrades as he can. The trouble that he's going to have is he's only been on 1 TC. And, you know, he's had the resources to go into that 2nd TC. We see him back here with the granary. They're absolutely pumping 79 vills. So at this point, I would love for GUA to have been on like 110 vills. Can you imagine? Like, his opponent's probably on 120 vills right now if GUA didn't intervene. So easily he could be on +30, +40 vills right now, have an amazing economy, and just start pumping. But we do now start to see 10,000 bolts come through. I can't help but feel like this is just a little bit. I would have loved to have seen this earlier. Just would have helped him convert in those fights just a little bit more. And maybe like +3 on the Jukunu instead of +3 on the Horseman. Just makes so much more sense, right? Like, they get 4 attacks versus the 1 of the Horseman. So you're getting 4x the value. But my fear here is that GUA may look at what he's building. Jukunu and Horseman. Like, what are these going to do against Schlatter? Like, and you keep in mind that the Schlatter is an incredibly powerful unit. Look at the ranged armor that it's got. It's one of the few counters to the Zhuku-Nu, because the Zhuku-Nu has a huge amount of damage in Imperial Age, and often nothing has got enough armor to deal with it, but the Schlatter actually does. And you can see now with 11 armor, the Zhuku-Nu are only sitting on 9 attack. They're going to be doing 1 damage every single bolt coming through. And now looking to continue kiting back, he's got nothing to deal with this. He's got absolutely nothing to do with this. The Schlatter here are just going to be uncontested. There's no spearmen coming up the rear. There's no crossbows. There's barely any crossbows. There's 3 crossbows apparently somewhere in the mix here. I don't actually see them. They might be back home. I am looking for them. Does anybody see the crossbows? I just see Zhuku-Nu. And the Zhuku-Nu that I do see are running for dear life. There's the crossbows back here. All right, he's got the elite upgrade as well. He's also got the 10,000 bolts upgrade, but remember, they get the reduced damage, and the Schlatter's got such high armor that it's really going to be doing very little damage against the Schlatter. This is a tough spot, and I think this is, at this point, my fear is that KCW has just activated his trap card. GUA is all of a sudden going up. What's that? I'm trying to think. There's like is it the Magic the Gathering, or is it the you know, like the 5 cards, and like you've assembled the 5 cards and then you just win the game? I feel like it's like that, because if we look on the side of KCW, like this Cav is so incredibly powerful, so upgraded at this point. He's got biology upgrades through. The economy is just kicking it. You can see he's got that 40 vil advantage at this stage. Sure, GUA's got the relics. He's got 6 of them at that. But at the end of the day, how do you deal with this Cav? And we can see him finally switching to spears now, but it's going to be a slow and steady burn. Don't tell me we don't have even... Oh, gosh. We're only hardened at this point. We're not even veterans yet. It's going to be a slow uphill battle here for GUA. Battering ram going to be making its way through. Plenty of vills on gold as well for KCW. Up towards the north, Genoese crossbowmen have had their upgrades come through and upgraded through to elite. The Schlatter cavalry, of course. Look at the numbers on these units. Absolute beast of a unit. A little bit unfair. I still don't know how this unit exists in the current stage, or in the current state. Like, it just feels like power creep is a real thing, and it actually exists. Talk to your therapist about it. Indeed, I'll be speaking to mine. Yes, power creep is real. But now heading in, and the trouble is, if you get amongst this, then you're in real trouble. Hand cannoneers? Do we see hand cannoneers potentially coming out? No hand cannoneers coming out just yet. Hand cannoneers, obviously you're not going to see them for the Juicy Legacy, but they would be a reasonable thing to be making here. I got myself out of that one pretty well, didn't I? That was well said, Drongo. Don't worry, we caught it early. We caught it early. I feel like there's not been a whole lot of impact off this, what is it, Roar of the Sun? The upgrade? I was never really a fan of that. I think, like, if you're going for anything, like, you could do, like, the Cloud of Terror spam. Even, like, Advanced Administration is not terrible. It's quite decent, because it really allows you to gather quite a lot of extra gold in the late game. But, I mean, you don't technically need it, but it's nice to have. And then other than that, I mean, obviously the Imperial Guard is very good. 10,000 bolts I've always been a fan of. Excuse me? Roller shutter triggers? So, is this 2023? You may be a little bit confused, my Dutch friend. You may be a little bit confused. By the way, he's got a little bit of a defense going on here, doesn't he? Knights Templar with the defense. Wolf getting in on the action. Let's check back in with GUA 33 minutes into this game. The units continue to build. So the one big thing for GUA is he can't let his opponent max out, because if he lets him max out, it's over. GUA needs to try and constantly fight with a numbers advantage. That's like the big thing for him in this game. If there's one way he's going to win that, or win this game, he can't let his opponent mass. That's like the key way for him to win here. And if we take a look at these numbers, these are looking pretty good. They're looking pretty convincing, but you've got to remember that at the end of the day, a lot of these units are just Zhuku-Nu. And the Zhuku-Nu is an absolute joke when it comes to the Schlatter. Let's check in with the Zhuku-Nu. You can see it's got 9 damage at the moment, so still yet to pick up those last points of damage. Now beginning to move in on the fortress. Schlatter with 11 armor. Horsemen to the south. We can hear those Springles firing off. Bombards teeing off as well towards the fortress. GUA with a pretty sizable army here, 120 military population, going up against 60. Double his opponent at this stage of the game. GUA with a huge ranged mass. The Schlatter dive in. First one gets one shot. Now continuing to move forward. Springald's firing off. The Roller Shutter trigger's doing work. But the Schlatter at the front, outnumbered completely. GUA looking to really drive this one home. Up against an opponent underneath the fortress. We can hear those trebuchets firing off towards the front line. The bombards teeing off on the back. And the Schlatter still stand. Look at the Schlatter somehow. The Schlatter is still standing against all these units. And look at GUA's numbers. Look at how quickly the tables have turned. He's fighting into reinforcements. 12 Schlatter, 13 Schlatter in queue. Coming straight down the middle for GUA. And you got to remember, GUA now immediately switching to only spearmen. Horsemen also getting mixed in. I'd love to see this. I'd love to see some crossbows coming out for him. But this is the hard part. Right here. GUA needs to have reinforcements. Needs to be able to regroup. You can see that spam is immediately going to come out. I'd love to see a couple more production buildings here for GUA. How many is he sitting on at the moment? Let's do a quick check here. We've got 5 Raxes. So I think at this point in the game, being at like 10 Raxes would be very nice, allowing you to just immediately get those spearmen back out onto the field straight away. Genoese crossbowmen also pushing up with the Springalds. Schlatter numbers, look at this. He's almost up to 20 Schlatters already. And meanwhile on the side of GUA, like he's barely cracking 20 spearmen. Just becomes that revolving door of the spearmen going in, the Schlatter coming out. And eventually there's not going to be enough spearmen to hold. The Knights Templar beginning to build up slightly stronger numbers here. It's really like the Zerg versus the Protoss. You've got the Zerg here, the Juicy Legacy with all of their numbers versus the Protoss. Just these strong individual units that could take an entire army on themselves. But now look at him converging all the troops into one location, ready to begin pushing down middle. All mid, all 5 mid, let's go. Let's do it. And indeed they agree. Spearmen moving up. Keep in mind they've got that extra little bit of fire assistance on that lance. That's a choke point right there that you don't want to find the wrong side of, that's for sure. Not with this many mangonels and springalds. GUA going to try and secure this in the center. Not able to find it. Schlatter able to deal with it for the moment. Bombard's going to fire off. He's got a lot of bombards here. 6 bombards. Why does a man need that many bombards? Well, they say a bombard is like a medallion. If you can't support a medallion, you can't support a family. It's the exact same with a bombard number. 6 of them. That is key. Mango's going to look to come back in Schlatter. Just keep an eye on the Schlatter. 15 spearmen, 14 spearmen, 15 in queue. But the reality is that Schlatter number does not fall. It continues to grow, only stronger. And the trouble that we've got is that second TC from the Knights Templar has unfortunately paid itself off very well at this stage of the game. And GUA going to try and defend here valiantly. But we know the truth. We know the reality. To defend against this Schlatter, you would require an economy much greater than what you've got. Double, if not even more. And you'd need a lot more Raxes, a lot more spears, and a lot more time. Something he just will not have. He's going to throw down a last-ditch keep here, trying to keep it together as the Trebs already begin to take it down. Schlatter working down the vills as well. GUA losing 69 villagers this game. Not nice at all. And now that last villager constructing that keep will go down as well. He's lost a couple more. Another 6 have gone down, and the Schlatter continue to rally towards the front. GUA struggling to keep that head above water, but I think at this point, I think it's over. I think it's over. Let's do a quick review of the economies. Have a look at the size of this base. It is absolutely massive. Fortresses everywhere. He's up to 5. He's got that infinite gold economy rolling in. 2.2k gold a minute. GUA on the other side, 1.1k gold. Not too bad. We can see them gathering gold here together immediately. Immediately garrisoning the vills inside. That's not a nice guy move. Now those bombards retreating back. Keep coming online for GUA. He thinks he can hold it. He thinks there's a dream. He knows his opponent's been on 2 TC, and he's wondering where all these units are coming from. But the answer is all of that economy his enemies got back on the other side. Vills do end up retreating back away from that gold vein. The last remaining gold veins on the map. That one in the center, as well as these 2 down towards the south. I don't know where that big gold spawned for GUA, but unfortunately he just didn't get it. I don't think it was the difference this game. I don't think it would have mattered. I think it was only a matter of time until the Schlatter overwhelm. I would have loved to have seen Teutonic Knights here, but you can't blame a guy for doing what works. And the truth is, like, look at GUA. He's down to 47 villagers here. This is a hard game to come back from here. He dropped a second TC at some point. Actually, now that I think about it, I've seen this second TC for multiple times. How long has GUA had this second TC? I'm going to have to go back and check, because I reckon he's probably had this for at least 12 minutes now. And he just hasn't been printing vills? Or he's just been losing them. One of the two. I mean, technically, he'd be sitting at like 150 vills right now. But we are 40 minutes into this game, so it's going to be quite late. I will say that right now. Definitely not as early as it could be. I like the idea of going for like the one vill out here and then getting the second TC in. Now the fortress coming up on the front line. Treb's going to start working down all this production. You can see together with the Shaolin Monastery maybe going down here. GUA going to try and mount a defense. Realistically, what options does he have? Not a whole lot. I think you just spam Spearman at this point and just hope that your enemy didn't get the memo that you were only making Spearman and just keeps making Slatter. But this is the trouble. Even if they do. Nope, 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 nope. GUA's just said goodnight. He's had enough. Just as we moved away from his base. GUA has tapped out. Ladies and gentlemen, make sure you go check them out. I'll leave links in the description to where you can watch both of these guys. At the end of the day, our Dutch friend is able to take the game. And GUA sails away into the sunset.